So far in this skill, we've talked a lot about fiber channel over Ethernet concepts, but we haven't really related it back to UCS yet. So first of all, we want to look at the hardware components of UCS to figure out which parts support FCOE and which parts do not, and from there we can delve into the architecture a little deeper. As we typically do, we're going to start with the fabric interconnect model of UCS connectivity, and not all UCS environments actually have fabric interconnects, so we do want to explore what it looks like without them. Now, we have connectivity up to the LAN, which implies the Ethernet world, and then typically we have SAN connectivity, and that SAN connectivity can be native fiber channel, draw FC over here on the right, and connection up to each one. So this would be fabric A, and this would be fabric B. So where does fiber channel over Ethernet live in all of this? Well, a couple of places. First and foremost, everything down here is FCOE enabled with the right hardware. And these days, for the most part, deploying servers with connectivity to the fabric interconnects are going to have the right hardware just by nature of the native design. So when we have a UCS blade chassis, this B series chassis, which can support up to 8 blades plugged into the chassis, we connect that up. This is all fiber channel over Ethernet enabled because each individual blade has in it what's called a VIC. This is the virtual interface card, and we cover a lot about the VIC in the UCS networking skill. So if you haven't tuned into that skill, be sure to take a look at that and understand what exactly the VIC is. But for the purposes of this conversation, what's most important about the VIC is it's a converged network adapter, or CNA. Now CNAs are just like NICs and HBAs, other than that they support both fiber channel and Ethernet. So, a NIC usually is dedicated to Ethernet, and an HBA, host bus adapter, is dedicated to fiber channel. In our case, a CNA, this is the converged network adapter, would be capable of both, and that's what we use for fiber channel over Ethernet. So let's take a look at the B200 M5 spec sheet. So M5 is the current generation of blades as of the time of this video, and anytime we want to know more about the hardware components in a Cisco product, we want to Google the spec sheet for it. So by searching for this, we find a living document that Cisco continuously updates throughout the life of the product, meaning that any old options that have been removed, will be removed, and any new options that come out will be added to this document. So we can see that we have two different mezzanine adapter slots, the rear and the front. And just even by looking at the table of contents here, we can see that the front adapter slot really only supports a storage controller or GPU. It doesn't even support network adapters like the VIC. So if we look at the rear adapter slot, and again, what we find is that we have the VIC as an option, we have a port expander for the VIC as an option, and then we also have storage adapters and a GPU slot option. So really, we have to have a VIC. If we're going to choose anything for network connectivity, it has to be the VIC. We don't have NIC and HBA options. So because we only have the VIC as an option, no matter what we do with the B200, it's going to be FCOE enabled. Now, conversely, let's take a look at the C220s. These are the rack mount servers. Again, M5 being the current generation as of the time of this video. It also has its own spec sheet. And so we're going to come down and take a look at the PCIe options for this server. And we can see that there are a lot more options. The C-Series supports way more. It's not necessarily FCOE enabled. We have to be careful with this. So any NIC is going to be only Ethernet in support. We can't do fiber channel over this. And also, if we scroll down further, we can find that the host bus adapters, these are all native fiber channel. So we're looking at 16 gig fiber channel, 32 gig fiber channel. All of these are HBA fiber channel only, no FCOE. So if we want to support FCOE, we really need still this virtual interface card, the VIC, in order to support fiber channel over Ethernet on this device. So back to our drawing now. If we have a C-Series server, we're going to have to make sure that this has a VIC inside of it to connect up to the fabric interconnects via FCOE. If it has a normal NIC, first of all, it really can't connect to the fabric interconnects without a VIC, so that's going to be important. We have to have a VIC to connect to the fabric interconnects. But what if we wanted to connect a C-Series server, as we can, to something other than a fabric interconnect? Maybe just an upstream Nexus switch or Nexus switch pair. Hopefully we've got redundant ones, right? So we're connecting to the two different Nexuses, and we did not put a VIC in. We have these NICs in here. So that's great. We could do 10 or even 40 gig up to the Nexus, but we cannot do FCOE because we didn't get the VIC. Now, can the VIC connect to the Nexus? Absolutely. We could put a VIC in and connect it up to the Nexus in the same way that we connected to the fabric interconnects. So last but not least, what about these fabric interconnects? Can they all do fiber channel over Ethernet? And the answer is yes, no matter which model we have, whether it's the 6200, 6300, or the 6400s, which are the newest as of the time of this video. We have to say that a lot when making videos about hardware. But the 6400s, all of these support FCOE. The only thing we have to be careful of is native fiber channel. Not all models support native fiber channel. Specifically, there's a 6300 model today that doesn't support it, and there are likely to be other models that come out in the future that do not support native FC. So be aware of that. The good news is that most UCS hardware comes pre-equipped for fiber channel over Ethernet just because most UCS servers get deployed with the virtual interface cards. Now, if we do have a C-Series server, we're going to want to have to make sure that we have the right hardware in there to support FCOE, but blades and the fabric interconnects, those all come with FCOE pre-enabled. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.